Today we are testing out the new DJI Osmo Action 6 that we have here. I was just watching a video and I didn't realise that you can just stick it onto metal bits. So I'm not going to take this on any mounts or anything. We're just going to go outside and try and get some cinematic looking shots. I'm just really curious about the quality because the last Action 6 camera I had was the Osmo Action 3 and it was alright, it was good for like vloggy stuff, but the quality wasn't there. But this has DJI D-Log, so I'm going to see if it compares to my Osmo Pocket 3, which is very good. I have got the ND filters as well as the macro lens here, so I'll test them both out. Of course, need ND filters if I'm going to be shooting outside over this way, very overexposed. I'm going to see how that kind of looks when it's color graded, but should be pretty cool. I thought maybe a good vlog style might be a good way to start it up. So shooting this at 4K, 24 FPS, 150th shutter speed. Manual mode, I turned the noise reduction and the sharpening down to 0. So hoping it doesn't add any of that digitalness that is added sometimes. I have the new Choudhury 20mm t1.8 lens that they've sent me, so I'm also going to be testing this out for the first time properly today. But I'll do another review on that another time. But as you can see, we're going to try and create some cool stuff. I don't have a tripod with me, so I'm just going to find this. Well, I'm going to put this in random places and try and get some shots. So yeah, I'm going to place this over here. And it's metal, so it's got some good grip. Set the aperture to 4. I have filmed it in a very wide setting. "4K 24 FPS. Very overcast sky, a little bit of background behind me. I mean, this is at f4, but I'm not sure. We'll see. But I'm hoping we have plenty of light, which we do, so best way to see how well it's going to grade. Now is I'm going to try the macro lens. We're going to see how close we can get. Got some leaves here, leaves, plants. Screw this off, spin this on like this. Now see, the problem I'm having with this is that I've set it to f2 to get a little bit more depth, but it's too bright now, even at the lowest ISO. So I can maybe shoot in 60 FPS, but I want to see if these ND filters fit on the macro lens, which I'm not sure if they will. I don't know if I'm being dumb, but I don't think you can put the ND filters on the macro lens, which is dumb, but please tell me that I'm being dumb, because that's kind of annoying. We'll just try the macro lens. I'll shoot at 60 FPS so I can put the shutter speed up, and it's not as much blown out. It's at, I mean, it's still it's still +2 stops overexposed, but it's worth a try. Like, seeing how close I am to this plant now, it's quite close. I am shooting in wide mode, so maybe I go into standard D-warp and we'll try again. I know you can barely see, I do apologise, but I have Rocksteady on and I'm on normal wide and I'm at 4K 24 FPS, so there's no slow motion. I'm going to do a little walk this way and we're going to try and get a nice steady gimbal shot of this, but using my hands. A little bit of stress, a little bit of anxiety. When someone's a bit stressed, they'll be quite fidgety, so a little bit of movement is always nice. So apparently yesterday I decided not to look in the mirror and come straight to the office. Yesterday was quite hectic because we just released Digifilm 4 and Black Friday sale. So yesterday was a little bit crazy, but 50% off Digifilm 4, and we're going to be using Digifilm 4 to color grade some of these clips that we shot on the DJI Osmo Action 6. So we have this clip here, and the thing I love about the Osmo Actions, how wide they go. They're so wide, and that's kind of a double-edged sword because I wish sometimes I could zoom in even more. They do have the 2x zoom, but it's just you lose a lot of quality through it. But in terms of a shot like this, where I literally just placed it on my tripod leg, put it at a bit of an angle, and then faced it up towards me, you can get this really cool look. This will also be cool from when somebody opens a boot and you have like two people looking in. I think there was a shot like that from Bullet Train or something. Very cool shot. Let's start from the beginning anyways, and we'll color grade this one. So we have DJI Osmo Action 6, and it is shot in DJI D-Log M. Now, DJI D-Log M is very interesting. So I'm going to come over to my gallery. We're going to come over to Digifilm. We're going to come over to Digifilm 4 and apply grade. So you can see we have a decent starting point, but the first thing, of course, that we need to do and how Digifilm has always worked is utilizing a CST. Now, in our CST, it is very confusing as to what input gamma, input color space to utilize. For the input color space, I still use DJI D-Gamut, but for my input gamma, I use Rec 709 HLG. Now, if I was to put this into DJI D-Log, you see how contrasty and how not so nice it kind of becomes. The purpose of a CST is to give you a nice balanced starting point, and this definitely does not do that. I asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT said, use HLG, and you can see that the conversion of HLG is so much nicer as a starting point for DJI Osmo Action 6. Remember, if you're shooting on the DJI Osmo Action 6, it now has D-Log, so please do shoot in D-Log. The ability that you have then to kind of really push your footage is astronomical compared to shooting in the normal mode, even if it's in the normal 10-bit. So we have this footage here, and it's looking fine. You can see on our scopes that we are being blown out in our highlights. So I'm going to come over to my exposure. I'm going to come over to my offset. I'm just going to reset this. Then I'm going to come over to my HDR wheel, I'm going to come over to my global and start bringing this down. Now the sky has been clearly clipped out, so I mean that's totally fine. It is a blank sky anyway, so I can bring the sky down afterwards regardless. But we have this nice before and an after. Now the beautiful thing about Digifilm, as you saw, we've done a before and an after in a matter of a few clicks. The new thing about Digifilm 4 mostly is it is much more refined, is much quicker and easy to use. However, there is a look table. If I was to turn the look table on, you can see we have this look that's been applied. And when I right click and press your compound node, you're going to see 20 different looks within this look table. And I've just done this to kind of give people a starting point, even myself, because I utilize these a lot, a good starting point to get a certain look, whether that's much more of a blue owl look, which we might try and push into this, or a filmic look, or a sunrise look, etc, etc. So you can see as I go through these, loads of these different looks that we can kind of play with. So as you kind of go through these, you can just choose which one that works for you. Ideally, you have kind of in your mind what type of look you're trying to go for initially, but if you don't, just go through and see what works for you. Alternatively, you don't have to use the look table at all. I kind of preferred Legacy. It gave me this kind of nice, a little bit of a teal and orange, but with a green tint. I'm a big fan of greens recently, so we're going to leave that as it is. Then I'm going to come over to my effects, turn this on. This, if I press show compound node, you're going to see that we have a blur, a glow, and a grain, and all of these I'm pretty happy with, and it kind of takes off that digital edge of the DJI Osmo Action 6. Here I'm pretty happy in my global look. I can come over to my curves, and now I can start really bringing those highlights down, and just really start pushing the image down. We'll make a third point here. Bring this down like this. Clip the highlights as well. You can see if I bring this up, you can see that nasty blue comes up like that, which is not nice, but here is a lot better. And then I can simply come over to my gain, bring my image down ever so slightly. The next thing I can do is come over to my power window, show a compound node, and maybe if you wanted to bring our character, which is myself, I can bring him brighter using my global wheels. If you don't have the free version DaVinci Resolve, that doesn't matter. Just use your offset. It does a very similar thing, but the global is a little bit better. The next thing I can do is simply utilize these power windows to really bring emphasis onto our particular character. And you can see as we are doing this that I shouldn't brighten this part up actually, and then shift that more towards this way. So there's less vignetting in the sky, so before and then after, which is a bit more of a uniform image. So you don't always have to darken your imagery, you can lighten them up as well. But for the top part, I might darken this up ever so slightly. The next thing I might want to do is come over to my global, start adding a little bit of color to my image. So maybe I push in some blues in my shadows like this, maybe push in some oranges into my midtones like this, and this is where you're going to get a little bit more of that stylistic color cast for your particular image. Maybe a little bit in the highlights as well, like so. And then we have this really nice before and an after, and you have this really cool look that you have for this image right here. Now, if we were to look at some of the other ones, so like this one right here, so very similar look. But for the look table this time, we utilize legacy again, but you can see in the global, what we did was I brought down the highlights again like this, very, very heavily, brought down the gain, you can see 0.67, very heavily, and then simply I just shifted a lot of the blues out of the image, utilizing my color warper. So you can see there's heavy blues, got rid of those like this, by bringing points close to the middle point for our color warper, and you can see it looks really cool. This gives a very like close commercial that you see a lot of companies utilizing these days, is very ultra wide shots. So yeah, in my opinion, it looks pretty good. Maybe we'll start again from the beginning for another shot. But we can start again from the beginning, apply the grade, go over to our CST. We're gonna type in DJI D gamut and Rec 709, Rec 2100. HLG, and already you can see really nice before and then after. I'll turn on my look table and you can see, I should turn my sound off. Really nice clip, and I can add a little bit of effects like this, and you can see it gives it a lot more of a filmic edge. And in my opinion, I'm pretty happy with that. I can come over into my power windows, remember, and really isolate it. I'll do that anyways just for you guys, but I'll do it in a different way. So I'm going to bring down the whole image, just so I'm a bit lazy now, bring down the whole image quite heavily, come over to my power windows, come over to my power window 5, drag this over our subject, which is this lovely little daisy, and then come over to my HDR wheels, bring this up like this, and you can see just with this power windows and this global node, we've gone from this before and an after, and there's a lot more emphasis on that daisy for whatever insert shot it may be used for. Again, I'm just going to copy this grade from the previous clip to this clip, and you can see it's done it well. I'm just going to reset this power window node because it does have the daisy parameters applied. Come over to my exposure, really bring this down using my global. At this time I'll use my primaries just to really showcase to you guys how to utilize your primaries. My gain like this, I'll bring down my offset like this, and then maybe I want to bring my left, which is my shadows, like this. Come over to my look table, show compound node, and then what I'm going to do is come over to my 60mm look. So you have this really nice 60mm look. Let's say the sky is a bit too bright, I can come over to my power window here, bring this way, really bring that gain down like this, and I can bring down the saturation as well of it ever so slightly. Let's say those blues were like too heavy, I can come over to my global look here, and I can simply come over to my color warper. If you're not seeing this number of points on your color warper, just come over to here and just press 12. Then you can see I can click on my blues, like this blue is a little too strong for me, I can click on it, you can see it's identifying it here. Push this more towards the middle, same with this blue here, and then push this more towards the middle, and you can see that will take away a lot of that blue. Come over to my power window, show compound node, we'll utilize this one. I want to darken this area right here to bring a bit more emphasis onto my actual character, because this is a little too bright. Again, promised I'll use primary wheels, so we use primary wheels here, like this, bring this down ever so slightly. And this is good. Then if you wanted to add some color cast to your image, you can add, let's say I want to add some warmth this time instead of going for more of a winter look, but I guess there's only so much you can do with a very overcast day, like this. I'm gonna flatten out my curves because that sky is annoying me ever so slightly. So I can bring this down. Lift up my midtones a bit, and then you have this really nice look that we have here. And again, the capabilities of color grading the Osmo Action 6 and D-Log from this camera is really good. Like, it's not bad at all. The only thing it does do, even though you do have the aperture, yes, it lacks depth, and it is an action camera at the end of the day, so I can't really complain too much. But yeah, you can't really just like get a really nice like zoomed in image. Even at standard D-Warp, it's quite, it's very wide indeed. But hopefully this showcases to you how you can kind of create some really quick and easy grades. Osmo Action 6 D-Log is very capable and very easy to grade. But yeah, just enjoy yourself. Make sure I recommend you overexpose or normal 0.0 exposure on your EV, or overexpose and go from there. But if you can't, you can't. And if you're in a bright day, do use an ND filter. I'm sure there'll be loads of aftermarket ones coming onto Amazon and other stores, so you can utilize those. Back to my final conclusion, I guess. So the DJI Osmo Action 6. I've come from the Action 3 to the Action 6. For me, most noticeably, I can now shoot in 10-bit D-Log M, and this has a big sensor, actually the biggest sensor of all action cameras, 1 to 1.1 inch. So I'm interested to see what the quality is like. But main things for me for this camera is they say that it has a variable aperture, which it does. You can choose from the aperture, but for this camera in particular, you can't choose like between 2 to 4. It's like a range, but it's like a particular one, so I can only choose like 2.6 or 2.8 or 4. This is in the Pro mode, and I recommend you do shoot in the Pro mode. So that was interesting, but it's still cool that you can shoot in the 2.8 to, well, you can shoot between 2 to 2.8. I know in the auto mode when you set it out auto, it'll change between 2 to 4 or 2 to 6. But otherwise it's pretty cool. My other gripe was that the macro lens, you can't slap the NDs on top of the macro lens, so that's a bit of an issue, but it fits perfectly fine onto this. I'm sure there'll be like aftermarket, I should call it like a car, there'll be, yeah, I guess aftermarket lenses and ND filters for the macro lens. But otherwise than that, easy to use. I wish there was a mounting point at the bottom instead of I have to get something else, like a screw on, so I can put it on a tripod or something. But of course I know there are different mounts that you just mount it on, then you screw it onto another, then that thing itself has like a quarter thread screw that you can screw into. But other than that, very easy. I'm trying to see if I can use this as almost like a vlogging lens, so if I go on a little hike, I only have to really take this. Maybe if I can get some kind of a monopod, I can use this, but alternatively my iPhone does a really good job of that as well. But other than that, pretty cool lens, pretty cool camera. I'm most importantly going to see what this is going to be like another day, mostly car rigging shots, especially with D-Log M, if it can compare to my Osmo Pocket 3. I've seen footage from the Action 5 and that looks phenomenal, so this should be better.